that. It is, the illumination is itself only. It's so effulgent. And here in this particular shloka, it is mentioned that the word existent and non-existent refer to only spirit and matter, because you cannot say that spirit is non-existent and matter is existent. Matter keeps on changing, the same matter you can't say that you say this is matter. Okay, matter is subject to transformation. It can be transformed in any manner, let's say by external force, by decaying or anything. That is what is said here. That is the version of all seers of truth. This is the beginning of the instruction by the Lord to the living entities who are bewildered by the influence of ignorance. Removal of ignorance involves the re-establishment of the eternal relationship between the worshipper and the worshipable, and the consequent understanding of the difference between the part and parcel living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, this is very important. What is said over here, that what is the beginning? What is the beginning of the instruction that the Lord is giving? That first thing is establishment of the relation between the worshipper and the worshipable, and the consequent understanding of the difference between the part and parcel living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is the another name given for this? It is known as Sambandha Jnana, relation. Any work that all of us do is based on this one thing. First of all, you relate with it. For example, let's say there's a woman right in front of you, right? So how do you act? Do you act with a woman in the same manner? No. First, you see the relationship. What's the relationship? Let's say the woman standing in front of me is my sister. I'll have a different behavior, right? Let's say the woman standing in front of me is my mother. It'll be a different behavior, Or let's say there is some random women who's standing, it'll be a different behavior, right? In case of those who are married, if it's their wife, it'll be a different behavior, right? So you see, first thing is what? Establishing the relation, Sambandha Jnana. That is what is mentioned over here. The very first thing that the Lord gives to the living entity is that the knowledge, we are part and parcel, and He is the supreme whole. That is the very first thing. It started by saying that this matter and spirit are two different things. Matter is changing, spirit is not changing, right? This is accepted by all the tradition, even by the scientists, so-called modern science. Okay. Second paragraph we are coming. Second paragraph is what? That the removal of ignorance is done by the Lord. He gives the knowledge. What is the knowledge? That He is the supreme and we are part and parcel, right? And this is the very core. It's the Sambandha Jnana that is giving. Okay. 2 paragraphs we have covered. Now we'll move ahead, because see, I have to summarize these things because this particular purport is very lengthy. If I just read it, you'll be just like, it's just like parrot. My very name contains parrot. I don't want to resemble that only. Just read it out and there's no understanding. We'll break it down. Then later on we'll discuss. Let us take 15 minutes to understand the purport itself. Then we can carry on the discussion, right? So here, what is mentioned is one can understand the nature of the Supreme by thoroughly studying oneself. The difference between oneself and the Supreme is understood as the relationship between the part and the whole. In the Vedanta Sutra, as well as in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Supreme has been accepted as the origin of all emanations. Such emanations are experienced by superior and inferior natural sequences. The living entities belong to the superior nature, as it will be revealed in the 7th chapter. Although there is no difference between the energy and the energetic. The energetic is accepted as the supreme, and the energy or nature is accepted as the subordinate. Okay. So here it is said that how in different scriptures this particular point is mentioned, and how we are part and parcel of the Lord. This is again impressed in this thing. The second point that is said here, that we are part and parcel, right? So we are dependent. So here there are 2 terms which are introduced. One is, the very first one is here is the emanations. Emanations is we are all, you can say part and parcel of the Lord. We are the emanations. And then there is energy and energetic. For example, we see the sun globe, right? So what would you call sun globe? Is it energetic or energy? Energy? What if I say it's energetic? Energy is the sun rays, right? Is the energetic, right? For example, you see, there's a person with power, right? So who's the energetic person? He is the energetic person. His influence of that power is the energy, or synonymous, or we can say we'll just take an analogy, something which is similar. A prime minister is there, right? So it's just like saying the exercising power of the prime minister in any sector. That's his energy. But prime minister is a person, right? You can't say that the power is prime minister. You can't equate. That's the whole point, because it's two different things. The person sitting on the post can change, but that power of that particular post remains, right? So for us, we being the part and parcels, we have been changed from our eternal position. Being from there, we have come here. That means we are not energetic, first of all, right? What we are energies. We have to understand this very thing, and the Lord is the supreme energetic. For him there's no change, no deviation. That is what is mentioned over here, right? So we'll read ahead. The living entities therefore are always subordinate to the Supreme Lord, as in the case of the master and the servant, or the teacher and the taught. Such clear knowledge is impossible to understand under the spell of ignorance. And to drive away such ignorance, the Lord teaches Bhagavad Gita for the enlightenment of all living entities for all time. Very important thing. Let us keep this aside. We'll discuss. Here, what is mentioned is that Lord is teaching us this particular thing, and we are always subordinate to the Lord. There is no time that we can say, okay, now is the time, I have freed myself, okay, I'm independent of the Lord. That is what is mentioned actually now in this particular thing, that he is what? He is master, we are the servant. But what is the reason we don't accept it? Because this material world is known as the perverted reflection of the spiritual world, right? Something which is the highest is shown here as the lowest. How many of you all got the statement? One person, 2%. Okay. How many of you all have been to a river where there's a tree just at the bank? Have you all seen a tree? So when you look in the river, in the water, the reflection of the tree is there, right? So let's say when you're seeing, what's the first thing? Where does the tree start in the reflection? It starts from the root, right? But in the real world, if you look up, and you'll see it is starting from the leaves and then come to the root. But the reflection is quite opposite, vice versa. So that is what is said over here, that in this material world, whenever we say accepting someone as our master, the relationship of master and servant depends upon modern context. Can anyone answer? Outcome, that means result, whatever you are deriving from that person. Let me make it more concise and clear. Exploitation. Huh? The more master exploits the servant, or the servant exploits the master, the more fruitful that relationship is considered, right? In the modern context. Why? That is what we call the benefit or profit. The capitalists are fighting there are two classes, right? Two classes. One is capitalist, and what is the another class? Someone who believe in that state should be run by these so-called industries, and these people can vote, and vote is not only few people, they are doing it, right? So there is capitalist and one more, socialist, or no, there's a different word. I forgot. Maybe by the end of the session I'll remember that particular word. So there are two classes practically, and they are fighting amongst themselves. That no, this should be run by this particular government. No, this should be run by this particular government. But at the end, the profit only goes to the top chair. The people who are under, they are always exploited. That's why, because of that particular impression, we don't want to take up the post of subordinate. But that's not the relationship between a jiva and the Lord, the living entity and the Lord. That's the point. It's a very loving relationship. The love is so prominent that the master becomes the servant. Lord becomes the servant of his servant. Right? That's the mellow, that's the mellow of the relationship. Just imagine, we are all expecting there is a term, or you can say, the government offices, they are supposed to serve the people, but they are someone who are taking service from the people, right? So we are exploited practically. You see, they're exploiting like anything. So people, that's why the very aim to become government servant is not to serve but to exploit. That's the same mentality that we are having. We also say, okay, Lord, we'll become your subordinate, but unless and until we exploit you, we won't accept that subordination. I'll come to you, you give me this thing. Let's say if my examinations are there, so okay, I'll come, I'll give you one coconut, ek nariyal phodunga, 90%. I need 90%. Okay, I've got an interview, job interview. I come to you, fold my hands. Okay, today is my, this LPA kind of job is there. My interview is there. If I crack it, 0.5% is yours. 1,000, 5,000, whatever is the 0.5%, I'll give you. Tirupati Devasthanam, Tirupati, there, it's a business deal. So many people, they come, okay, I'm starting this business. Okay, you just give me. Somehow, it happens that it becomes successful by the mercy of the Lord, and they give huge donations. That's why these centers have so many Lakshmi, so much Lakshmi, flooding in. That's the reason, because they say it's wish fulfilling place. They go and make a business deal with the Lord, right? So that's the relation. But do you think that kind of relation is long lasting? Definitely not, right? So here in this whole shloka, this was just one aspect. But what is the ultimate access? What is the main context, or you can say what is the essence of this particular shloka, is to understand that this material body, whatever we are having as of now, is something which is subject to change, and the eternal spirit soul is unchanging. Right? Now, if I ask you the question, you can very well relate to the first statement that this material body is subject to change, right? Every one of us is aware, at least not of ourselves, of another's. हम लोग चलो बोल सकते हैं हमने अपने में देखा नहीं, but हम देखते हैं छोटा बच्चा होता है ना. For example, I was just reading from Srila Prabhupada's one of the small books, The Matchless Gift, today itself. There it's mentioned the various transformation of the body, right? It's a pea-sized, pea-sized body you are having. When the father, he gives the seed, just a small seed, pea-sized, and then it starts develops in an embryo, then has its hands and legs, then the 9 holes form, 2 eyes, 2 nose, 2 ears, 1 oral mouthpiece, then anus and rectum, like that. 9 holes are formed. Then the baby comes out of the womb, stays in the childlike body, become a bit more mature, becomes youth, then again you see gradually, he'll become an adult. After adult, he starts the downward spiral. It's just like a curve. What you call it, that parabola. Like that parabola is actually a different structure, but it's like, just like a mountain. Draw a mountain on the XY scale axis. So it's like that. It begins, reaches at the peak, starts coming down, and that's all that we see, right? And what is the actual words in Sanskrit? This is janma. What we are all struggling with. We first we are child, okay, in the pea-sized, then we become youth, become an adult, become old man, dwindle birth, then old age and disease. These are the 4 problems that everyone is suffering from, right? But who is actually finding the cure for it? Any one of us? No one's finding the cure for it, right? But these problems are the one which are permanent problems. Let's say someone is suffering from a very humid temperature, right? Very humid, thoda warm type ka temperature hai. He'll get an AC, he'll be relieved from it, right? Someone is feeling really cold in Antarctic region or something like that. They'll install a heater, room heater. They'll be safe, and then they become happy. So what's the definition? Very definition of happiness? Very definition of happiness is not becoming happy. It is absence of misery in this material world. We say we are happy, but in actuality, what is the scenario? Is that as of now I'm not having any misery. It is just like someone who's very well versed in investing money into some, you can say business or something like that. And he says that I'm in profit. He'll say I'm in profit. But someone who is actually well versed in that field, what is actual definition of profit? Let's say someone invests 5 rupees, okay? And after over a period of time, he's seeing that whatever was investment was, his return is more than 5 rupees, right? 50 rupees or something like that. But in our context, wherein we are considering absence of misery as happiness, it is same as I've invested 5 rupees. Now it's been 3 years. It is still 5 rupees. So I'm in interest. I'm kind of, benefiting from my this particular, what do we say, investment. I'm in profit, he says. Will you call that person very intelligent person? Who will call him intelligent? Definitely, I will not call. I will not say that he's intelligent. He's misinformed. One thing is he doesn't know what actually profit means, right? Or another thing is उसको और अगर boil down करेंगे, you call them ignorant of the fact. You know, one is not knowing, another thing is not inquiring. Two different things. So if he wants to inquire whether I am in profit or I am in loss, he should go to a person who knows what is profit, what is loss, right? Similarly, first of all, we are not someone who don't know about things. We have all seen birth, death, old age, and disease are near and dear ones. We have seen, they're leaving their body, be it friends, families, relatives. We have seen everyone. But the greatest, you can say, wonder is that even though we are seeing someone is dying, we don't think that we'll be also at the same place. So there's a word known as samshan vairagya. So one becomes very much detached when he goes into samshan, or that crematory ground, what we call. He'll think at that point of time, he may think that, you may see also many relatives who have been there, that they'll be very much, distressed and talking, you are such a good person and everything. After the funerals are over, everyone is given one cup of chai, start talking, oh, तुम्हारा बेटा क्या कर रहा है, क्या तुम्हारा बिजनेस कैसा चल रहा है. एक छोटे से टाइम पीरियड के लिए होता है. But that is something which we have to keep in mind, that we are not this body. On the other hand, we see each and everything which is around us is based on this thing only. This very thing, this impermanent body, everything that you're doing, everything. And this is why, because we have been trained like that. Srila Prabhupada called the modern education system as slaughterhouses. Slaughterhouses. How many of you all have been to slaughterhouses? Anyone? Seen in the documentary? Who has not seen? Raise your hands. नहीं, स्लॉटर हाउस पता ही नहीं, किसको कंटेक्स्ट ही नहीं पता क्या है स्लॉटर हाउस. आपको नहीं पता? कसाई खाना पता है आपको? पता है ना, उसी को इंग्लिश में स्लॉटर हाउस बोलते हैं. So why slaughterhouses? You see parents, no parents send their kids to slaughterhouses, right? What's the reason that it is known as slaughterhouse? What's the reason? Anyone can say? What's the reason? Or what you can think of as of now, It is not that कि आप गलत आंसर देंगे तो पीछे बेंच पे खड़ा कर देंगे आपको, ना? तो आप लोग you have, but give sensible answers. No nonsense allowed. Give sensible. क्यों slaughterhouse बोल रहे हैं? Yes. Violence. तो गुरुकुल गुरुकुल नहीं है, बहुत सारे ऐसे जगह हैं जहाँ पे तो नहीं होती है चीजें. वायलेंस नहीं होता है, ठीक है, चलो वायलेंस है बट अलग प्रकार का. आप फिजिकल वायलेंस की बात कर रहे हैं, राइट? क्या काटते हैं उनको? नहीं, मैं बोल रहा हूँ बच्चों को जब भेजा जाता है, प्रभुपाद ने बोला कि द स्कूल्स आर स्लॉटर हाउसेस, जिसमें बच्चों को भेजा जा रहा है. तो स्लॉटर हाउस पे वायलेंस होता है. स्कूल में क्या वायलेंस हो रहा है? टीचर मार रही है बच्चों को. बट वो तो ज्ञान प्रदाय नहीं है ना, बच्चा तो इग्नोरेंट. Okay, close. Okay. Anyone? My right wing answer there, left wing. Left wing के बाद ये लोग बीच में तटाश सकती है, एक अंतरंगा बहिरंगा ही तटाष्ट है अभी. ये लोग क्या पता क्या बोलें. Anyone, you want to try? You can try. What's the reason? What is the immediate reason that you all can pick? Yes. They are, they teach students about the material world. Point. This is the whole subject matter that we are discussing. That they don't teach you that this material body is what? There is no endurance of this material body. The original thing is the soul. That is where you should focus upon. They are actually, if you see, you can see it in this light, that they are teaching you to nourish the tree by watering each and every part of the tree apart from the roots. How can you actually nourish the tree? एक एक पत्ते पे पानी डालेंगे क्या, या एक एक शाखा पे पानी डालेंगे, एक एक फल फूल पे पानी डालेंगे? हा? नहीं करेंगे ना. सिर्फ उसके तने में पानी डाल दीजिए ना, रूट में पानी डाल दीजिए, वो ऑटोमेटिक पहुंचा देगा. उसका सिस्टम है वैसा, उसका डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सिस्टम बहुत अच्छा है. हमारे आर्टिफिशियल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन सिस्टम्स जो हमने क्रिएट किए हैं, you know, it is far more better. You put it in the root, it takes it to each and every leaf, and without any bribery. हमारे यहाँ बीच में मार्केट मैन कट मारता है, कोई कट मारता नहीं, हर एक को इक्वली मिलता है. आप कोई नहीं देखेंगे कि सेब अगर लगा तो एक छोटा सेब है, एक बड़ा सेब है. ऐसा होता है? किसी ने देखा है क्या? दो हो सकता है, some cases out of thousands, but you don't see like that, right? So even the nature is giving in that particular fashion. So this is the very reason why Prabhupada called this modern society as slaughterhouse. You see, why longer hours of studying or sitting down on a desk? They're actually preparing from the very beginning for them to become slaves of the corporate world. 9 hours, घंटे कितने घंटे होते हैं? कितने घंटे स्कूल में पढ़ते हैं? सुबह 7 बजे जाते हैं, 4 बजे छूटते हैं कोई, या दोपहर में 12 बजे छूटते हैं. बच्चे हैं तो उतने बजे उतना टाइम थोड़ा टॉलरेट कर लेते हैं, 6 बजे से 12, 6 घंटा. अब बचपन से उसको बिठाए बिठाए फिर आगे चल के क्यों ट्रेन कर रहे हैं? सो दैट ही सेट्स 9 to 6, 9 to 5. ना, अभी तो बोल भी नहीं सकते 9 to 9, 9 to next day. प्रायोरिटी डिलीवरीज, व्हाट एल्स इज देयर, सीजन, ये वो दुनिया भर का क्या क्या देते हैं नाम. They have created hell practically, right? So when one is aborted from this knowledge of the real self, that we are not this body, we are soul, the contrary is impressed, what? That we are not the soul, we are this body. So this is mentioned as Atmahan, the murderer. He is considered as murderer. Murderer doesn't only mean you take a knife or you take any weapon and you kill the other person. It's also where you are abstaining yourself from this crucial knowledge, this important knowledge, that what we are not this body, we are this soul. Because then we are always, attached to this body and the parts and parcels of this body, and our mind is disturbed in this particular manner. Whereas, you see, the very nature of soul is what? Sat, Chit, Ananda. And just as we took the example of the banyan tree or the tree at the bank of the river, and the reflection is the material world, right? Similarly, the reflection of this particular traits of the soul is what is the material body? Asit, Achit, and Niranand. What does, Sat means eternal, something which is not destructible, right? And Chit means full of knowledge, right? And Anand means full of bliss, not happiness, okay? Not happiness. Happiness is another thing. Bliss is another thing. Because along with happiness comes distress. It's buy one, get one. But bliss is pure happiness. There is no distress attached to it, right? Whereas this material body is what? Asat, temporary, time duration. 100 साल, या आप तो बोल भी नहीं सकते कलयुग में कितना, 60 साल पहुंच गए तो बहुत बड़ी उम्र वाले हो गए ना. Achit, full of ignorance, can't see beyond this wall. And then there are so called philosophers who can also argue what you see is not a wall, This is not a wall, this is matter. made up of this, Panchabhuta. But then that's why you say it as a wall, right? Philosophers who can argue about that, they'll say there's nothing behind this wall. Why? Because my sense perception is the key. Whatever I can perceive from the senses, that is what I'll acknowledge. If something which is not perceivable to me, I won't acknowledge. But what's the reason? That's the reason why whenever you see in the Gurukul, the study was when the person completes his education, he was engaged according to his nature. They didn't provide any certificate written. हाँ चलो ये गुरुकुल में इतने साल का कोर्स किया, 5 साल से लेके 25 साल तक, इज अ डिप्लोमा इन दिस शास्त्रम. सर्टिफिकेट नहीं बना के देते थे. Why? Because their very nature was evident, right? But you see, in the school, the parents are so much happy. We are also so much happy after struggling hard. One piece of paper. Okay, so and so first standard, A. What is the overall grade? A. Comes in this bracket 80 to 95 or something, or 100, whatever it is. Become happy. Parents become happy. मिठाइयाँ बंटवा रहे हैं बच्चे का first time. So we require what? Validation. But the same boy graduated from so and so course or something like that. You see, later on doesn't have civic sense. Doesn't have any, you can say, adaptability. There are so many people, who become shut-ins in their very dorm life, social life. They don't know what is social life. So many, you can see testimonies of the UPSC aspirants from quota and stuff. So we missed so much of our life and we didn't succeed also. So many people, Okama, right? So this education system you're seeing, see, I'm not defaming it, right? I'm presenting things as it is. Anyone who thinks that I'm defaming it, please don't think like that. Because I'm clearing this out. We all should know what's the reality, and we are being trained to buy things which will facilitate are these things only: Asit, Asat, Achit, and Niran in the future. Because you see, we are working so hard to buy things which we don't need only. When one was happy and content in village, right? What were his basic needs? 2 times chapatis he needs, chapatis dal or something like that. Okay, from farming he used to get some cloth. And they produce cloth also. There's put out cotton plant. There are beautiful machines, and those are the most expensive cloth that we get right now. The hand woven cloth, most expensive thing. That was very natural back in the day. People used to have their own machinery. There was a society, a particular part of the society who was kind of responsible for this thing. Okay, so they had their life, whole life was dependent on that. They used to do supply it, and there was something known as barter system. Someone was brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya, shudra. Shudra doesn't mean that it's a bad word, or मतलब बोलते हैं ना इसको गाली ना, but they have promoted it in that particular manner, right? These people, they were happy, right? Whatever they required was available to them in abundance. Okay, I'm not saying not in abundance. This can be proven by the holy, the descriptions of the festivities enjoyed in Vraja. People used to throw on each other milk, curd, butter. You see, now you can't do that. You don't get pure ghee only. How can you throw pure milk? And the sewage were actually overflowing with these milks and everything. Not gutter ka pani. जब festivals होता था. Right? This is the very descriptions, and no one can say that this is just imagination. Right? So the land of Raja is existing. What is the most prominent in Raja is taking care of cows. The land of Krishna. The milk is in abundance. Anyone goes to Vrindavan at any time gets prasadam, pure prasadam, free of cost. People still have that nature of giving. Here, you go in front of someone's house. First thing what you'll see, beware of dogs. Right? Do they write Atiti Devo Bhava? Right, this kunj, that kunj, but you won't see even a leaf in that particular. It's concrete jungle practically. But they'll write kunj. So this is the modern scenario, right? And this is what we are dealing with. Why? Because we are working hard to get these basic things only. आप पूछिए ना जो सबसे हार्ड वर्किंग व्यक्ति है ना, what is his life's goal? To settle down, peacefully. Settling down, if you ask him what is settling down, okay, just sit in my cottage, enjoying the view with a cup of whatever drink he wants to drink, and I don't need to care where the food will come from or what will be my next day life. Financially independent. Sounds so good, right? But that was reality. They were financially independent, never needed any paisa, no paper to validate that they are the richer class, higher class, lower class. Happy wherever they are. Content. Santosham hi param sukham. And that is what is now propagated by so-called entrepreneurs while they are busy exploiting, but telling that you should be content with what you are doing. Only exploitation rights are with me. I'll exploit you. Why? Because we are still in this bodily concept. How many of you all think you need this? How many of you all think you need this? Huh? In the material world, but in the material world, you see, there are so many people. Our very own grandfathers, fathers, we can't say, but grandfathers, they're not much familiar also with this thing. Whenever they used to talk, एक बूथ रहता था, PCO, ₹1 लेके जाओ, बात ही करना था ना सिर्फ. टीवी के लिए टीवी अलग, कैमरे के लिए कैमरा अलग. टीवी कभी कभी देख लिया. ये आने के बाद में एवरीवन ओपन अप योर स्क्रीन टाइम. बताइए मुझको किसका 10 घंटे से कम है? पीसीओ में कोई 10 घंटा बैठता था? टीवी के सामने कोई 10 घंटा बैठता था? नहीं, क्योंकि अब सब चीज इसी में दे दी है. मोस्ट डिस्ट्रैक्टिव वेपन. That's the whole point. That is the thing, that we don't know how we are trapped. We are just like a monkey. How are monkeys caught? Many people would have heard the example who are regular. But how many of you all know how do they catch the monkeys? ये मत बोलना जाल फेंक के फंसा लेते हैं. ऐसा नहीं होता. Yes. Yes. In the tree. Okay. That is also one way, but I'll tell you the exact what they do. They take a earthen pot, very special earthen pot. That nice background music. Okay. So they don't play the music; they play it for the deer. The deer likes music; they want to catch it. So they design a pot. The pot is made in such a manner that when you put your hands like this, okay, very straight, normal position, you put it, it will go inside. But the width or diameter is as such, the moment you close or make it a fist, it won't come out. Right? So what they do, the monkeys, they like peanuts very much. They put a fire, charcoal, put the pot on that, put some sand, on that they put bunch of peanuts, some peanuts. The moment it burns, the very smell of peanuts goes to the monkey. Monkey comes in, puts his hand, okay, even though it's burning also, okay, puts his hand, catches, and now it is attached. That particular pot is attached. It is fixed in the ground, and he is catching the peanuts, and he's trying to push. No, just take it out practically. Pull out his hand, not push. He's trying to pull out his hand, but he can't do it. It is manufacturing defect, you can say. So manufacturing, yeah, defect monkey ke liye, but it's a really good thing for the hunter. And he sees the hunter is approaching, and what is his psychology is that because of this pot I'll be caught. This particular pot is the reason why I am unable to run. He is holding me, but that is actually ignorance of the monkey. The moment he lets go of those peanuts, he'll be free. Same is the case with us. We are holding on to sense gratification, satisfying our senses, be it eyes, nose, ears, skin, everything. We are busy indulging, enjoying, and we think, actually, this whole concept of religion, it's binding me from enjoying this material world. And because of that only I'm unable to enjoy. That's why people take up to atheism, humanitarianism, sectarianism, right? Form different cults where This so-called material enjoyment is glorified. YOLO, you only live once, one life. Huh? Just do it. So many tags are coming out. But we don't know how subtly we are manipulated. Marketing agencies won't tell you that. That you think there are so many things we are getting for free, because that is not the product, you are the product. Free AI. What is happening now? They are giving so-called AI softwares for free, right? Chat GPT or Perplexity, or what is the new one? Gemini. Gemini. So you don't think, you're thinking, oh, it is helping us so much, but you're actually training it for 18 months of your life, 12 months of your life. You're giving data to it, giving your personal life to it. And now what's the trend? Deep fake. Deep fake technology or something like that. It's coming. And it can be imitated like anything. Such a dangerous thing. So much so that I guess it was Denmark or something, wherein they actually made a rule. They gave each and every citizen of their country the rights of their voice, face, and overall identity. If they see any brand or any page, you know, where they think the voice is similar to mine or something, they can report it. The first country, it's the first country which becomes that it's given the right. Just read the article. It's so dangerous. Why? Because we are thinking, what is this? This is suvidha. Suvidha means something which is a boon for us. But that very suvidha turned out to be duvidha. Boon turns out to be curse. Why? Because we are not situated. So we'll have to accept this one philosophy that we are not this body, we are this soul. And just accepting it makes us eligible to be freed from all these things? No. Acting on it makes us eligible. Right? So yes, now we'll end. We'll take questions. If anyone is having any questions, we'll take questions. Questions are welcome, but only related to the session. Any personal questions can be taken after the session. Let's say if there are personal questions which are related to the sessions, then can also be taken. Okay. Anyone is having any? क्या 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 लाइफ क्या होती है? लाइफ कैसे अच्छी होती है? Name the very understanding is important. When you say by reading Bhagavad Gita and by doing japa, my standard of life is improving. So first thing is, have you actually taken the standards which are mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, or you have considered what is your standard of life? For me, my understanding that by chanting and reading Bhagavad Gita, I should get wealth, everything should be calm, quiet, I should be peaceful. So if this is my definition of improvement in standard of life, that's wrong. Very wrong, very faulty definition. You're defeated at the first point. No, I'm telling, uncle. Yes. Next. इसी में पता चलेगा क्या ये जो बोल रहा है ये सही है कि नहीं. इसी में तो है ना. इसी से आवाज, यही पढ़ने के बाद आवाज आ रही है ना. तो अगर इसमें वो आवाज ही नहीं है तो आएगी कहां से? So when you read scriptures, let's say for example, you have your exams coming on, right? And एक रात पहले क्या है? इंडिया पाकिस्तान. ठीक है, 12 बजे रात के. अब आपको एक आवाज आ रही है कि देखो इंडिया पाकिस्तान तो बहुत जरूरी है. पढ़ाई उड़ाई तो ठीक है, पढ़ लिया हूँ, बाद में रिवाइज कर लूंगा सुबह सुबह. दूसरी आवाज आ रही है कि नहीं भैया, इंडिया पाकिस्तान जो है ना, ये रीटेलीकास्ट भी होगा ना. एग्जाम नहीं होगा, वो 6 महीने बाद आएगा, ये तो 6 दिन में आ जाएगा. क्या पता 6 महीने तक चले लगातार. तो के पास और कुछ दिखाने के लिए होता नहीं. तो आप बोलेंगे कि इसमें से कौन सा आवाज मेरा है और कौन सा आवाज अच्छा वाला है, कौन सा आपको लग रहा है? लेकिन दोनों भी भगवान का नहीं है. दोनों आप के इंटेलिजेंस, एक इंटेलिजेंस का एक माइंड का है। भगवान तो आपको भौतिक जगत स्लॉटर हाउस बोल दिया ना अभी, कैसे बोल दिया भगवान का? हाँ? ये हमको फाइनर इंटेलिजेंस, इसको बोला जाता है सूक्ष्म, जो हमारा इंटेलिजेंस होता है, वेरी फाइन इंटेलिजेंस इज रिक्वायर्ड, एंड दिस इज नॉट ऑन एन ऑर्डिनरी बुक जिसमें आपको साइंस का एक्सपेरिमेंट दिया है, एम, अपैरेटस, प्रोसीजर, रिजल्ट, ऐसा नहीं। तो अंतरात्मा है, इंट्यूशन है, या गट फीलिंग है, क्या है तीनों में से? तीनों तीनों डिफरेंट चीज है। अंतर में आत्मा एक है, आत्मा के साथ परमात्मा है। इंट्यूशन अलग है, गट फीलिंग अलग है ना। दीज टू आर स्पेकुलेशन, दीज टू आर द अल्टीमेट रियलिटी, अल्टीमेट सोर्स ऑफ नॉन पेरिशेबल नॉलेज। दीज आर जस्ट कॉन्कॉक्शन। इसको आप बोल रहे हो, अभी आप सबको एक ही कैटेगरी में डाल रहे हो, कुछ तो इनमें से है। दैट्स द पॉइंट। आप अभी बेस्ट है, you chant more and read more. Don't try to focus on the result. That is why, you know, the Lord is saying sarva dharman parityajya karmanye evadhikaraste, that particular thing, that you don't be desirous of the, बहुत लोग बोलते हैं कि फल की चिंता मत करो। भगवान ये नहीं बोल रहे फल की चिंता मत करो, भगवान बोल रहे फल की चिंता बहुत करो, फल लो और मुझको दे दो। तो अंडरस्टैंडिंग का डिफरेंस है, धीरे धीरे पढ़ेंगे, ऐसे आते रहेंगे रेगुलर, यू विल बिकम मोर क्लियर। कांट एक्सपेक्ट इन अ सिंगल डे एवरीथिंग बिकम्स रिवील्ड। और यस, अच्छा, ओके। सो प्रभु जी का क्वेश्चन है कि हम सबके अंदर भगवान होते हैं, तो फिर कोई अच्छा काम और बुरा काम क्यों करता है? Should I end it? और किसी का क्वेश्चन है आप में से? और दिस इज द लास्ट क्वेश्चन। ओके, वन मोर, एक और क्वेश्चन है, एक क्वेश्चन के बाद विल जस्ट। सो आपने बोला भगवान सबके अंदर होते हैं, राइट? सो इट इज सेम एज द गवर्नमेंट इज देयर, गवर्नमेंट हैज गिवन द गाइडलाइन, राइट? बट द पॉइंट इज यू आर अ फ्री सिटीजन, राइट? आपके पास एक फ्रीडम है। जब आप उस फ्रीडम को मिसयूज करेंगे तो क्या होगा? आपको उसके मुताबिक दंड मिलेगा। लॉर्ड इज नॉट someone who oppresses you or suppresses you. He'll give you the intelligence, just as he asked the question. He'll give you the intelligence when you're going to do something wrong. Either that particular instruction will come via a person, be it our guardian, mother, father, or friend, or someone like that, or it will be in form of, you know, internally guided something. It will be like that. He'll say you. But let's say if you still want to ignore it and you want to exercise your free will in order to do something wrong, he won't interfere because he did what he wanted to do. It is not that he is not capable of it. It is just like a father, you know, the kid, he's suffering from cold, but he actually starts throwing tantrum the moment he sees an ice cream shop. The father will say, no, you don't do it. Multiple times he will say that you have cold, you shouldn't take this ice cream, you shouldn't take it, shouldn't take it. But if the child doesn't stop throwing the tantrums, what will the father do? Okay, you eat the ice cream. What can he do? The Lord is doing his part, but it is out of our ignorance that we are unable to see how Lord is acting. It is not that he's not acting. He's acting, but we are unable to recognize it. And when we do something, and then our mind tells us, I told you not to do it. The very same mind who said you in the first place, you do it. And he tells you, I said you, you don't do it. At that point, you start thinking, whom should I blame? You put the blame on the God, on God. Okay, God, you're the one who's responsible. You didn't stop me. That's the point. Yes, one last question.
You said doing is not enough.
Acting is.
Acting on it is it makes us eligible for it. Can you expand?
I mean, for example, you see this fan, you know, it is having power, right? It's having power. So I'll give you just this knowledge. You have a desire to put your hand in that particular fan or your finger in that fan. So you have the knowledge. Okay, if I put the put my finger into this fan, I'll get hurt. But you don't act upon that knowledge. What you'll end up with? You'll end up with a cut on your finger, right? Or either the whole finger gone. So that's the difference. That's the difference. You may have knowledge about what is not, but if you don't act upon it, okay. Association, do service. That's the point. So we'll end. Thank you all so much for tolerating such a long time. Hare Krishna.
Would like to thank Śukadeva Prabhu for loudly chanting Hare Krishna Maha.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So we'll have drama 5 minutes, and then we'll have Kirtan. Let's see if we have time, and then we'll have dinner prasad. Okay, so just 5 more minutes for drama. Please have your seat.
Mic. Drama mic.
Okay, please sit. Right. 5 minutes drama, then we'll have.
अजीत प्रो टैब लगा हुआ चेयर एक्सचेंज करो ना